Did give Cyberpunk a second try with the new 2.0 update. Now there are two types of people who stopped playing the game prior. People who can deal with a poor performance, then people who can deal with the immersion breaking bugs, or a combination of both. At the risk of tanking my retention rate, the too long didn't give a shit version is this. Performance is substantially improved, at least on PC, I can't speak for console. My mouse no longer feels like it's moving through custard, and I get great consistent frame rate across the board on good graphic settings. So unless you have a hard drive since you need an SSD for this update, I would give it a bash if this is what was holding you back. If it was the immersion breaking bugs that held you back, they still exist, and are still numerous. I'm sure they've fixed a lot of them, but I still can't go longer than 5 minutes without running into a bug that takes me out the experience. So if this is what was stopping you, I would hold off a little longer. For a little more detailed answer to what I just said, it's as followed. My PC specs are on a Ryzen 3700X, it's an 8-core CPU, 32 gigs of 3200 MHz RAM, it's a 3600 MHz kit, but most people are running at 3200 MHz, so I underclocked it just to make sure it was a bit more consistent with other people's experiences, and also a 3070 Ti. Note the 3070 Ti is still an 8GB VRAM card, thanks Nvidia, and it's also running off an M.2 SSD. The graphics across the board are high with 2 mediums on ambient occlusion and something else. Anything ultra I drop to high because you substantially improve your frame rate without really affecting the overall visual quality. Ray tracing is off, since if you're worried about performance of ray tracing, it isn't a feature you'd be enabling anyway. Density of crowd is maxed out and all ugly graphics settings are turned off, such as depth of field, motion blur, that kind of crap. At native 1080p I get triple digit outside the city, and in the city I get high double digits. It will lower to high 60s in very heavily populated and detailed areas such as markets, but it never dips below around 65. I could play it on ultra, but it was hovering much closer to 60 FPS most of the time, and 70 or so outside the city, and the mouse felt substantially worse. As for the bugs, they are numerous.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the fuck is that?
Mercy! Mercy!
Attention, we got disturbance in Haywood. Kids causing trouble again? Okay, on our way.
Now, if it was only the occasional weird one, I would be a little more lenient, but there are a lot in major cutscenes, and it feels like the cutscenes were very rushed. Take this mission for example. It's a side mission, but one for a main character named Panam. None of the animations in it exist, and it's just terrible. The vehicles are clipping into the floor, the vehicles are clearly not using the physics engine, and are on predefined paths. Half the time the tyres don't even turn when the vehicle does. I mean, what the fuck, CD Projekt Red? Oh, and just for anyone who thinks I'm exaggerating, all the footage in the background from the past like 30 seconds or so is from one mission. Just one. And all this shit is happening. You have glasses doing weird shit in story-rich moments, which just divert all attention away from what people are saying as you look at it. It's just silly. The flip-flopping between great animations and basically non-existent animations is a very poor look. Overall, is it perfect? No, far from it. Is it better? Yes, it's substantially better. So, do with this information as you will. I'm not going to drag this video out to 45 minutes.